John in the Hole is a movie so empty that I'm still in shock a day after watching it. When I watch movies, I'm typically able to take mental notes about things I like and don't like, or things I find interesting. But for this movie with a theoretically interesting concept, I really have nothing. The cinematography was alright, I guess. The music was interesting, I think. The cast was pretty solid. Charlie Shotwell did pretty good, I guess, but other than him, everyone else was just fine. I can't wait to see Jennifer Eland's Saint Maud hopefully soon. The messages, if you can call them that, were incredibly on the nose and completely lacked substance. Admittedly, I was drawn to this film because I learned that it was written by Nicolas Giacobone, who wrote The Revenant and Birdman, both of which are some of the best films of the past decade in my opinion. The premise follows a 13-year-old kid named John who comes from a rich family who finds an unfinished bunker in the forest near his house. I guess I have to give a spoiler warning out of obligation, but in my opinion there's nothing about this movie to spoil as nothing really happens. So if you don't want to be spoiled for this movie, skip to this part in the video. Once he traps his family, he goes off to do what he thinks constitutes adult life. Things like driving a car, taking money out of an ATM, eating fast food whenever he wants, and that's basically it. Occasionally he brings his family some food and then just drops it in the hole. They ask him why he's doing this, but he never really does tell them. The message of this movie is basically what a kid thinks being an adult is like, but ultimately learns that it's more than just having fun, I guess. Speaking of his family, absolutely nothing bad happens to them while they're trapped. Occasionally they become really hungry, and that's shown to us with the mother eating a banana peel and then spitting it out. And then later the father states that this is the first time he's ever felt truly hungry, and that's meant to be a comment on them being well off. When they want to take a shit, they just do it in a bag while the other two people face the wall. Once they're done, they tie up the bag and then throw it out of the hole. For some reason, I expected the bag to miss the edge and land back on them, like that one scene in The Lighthouse, but that would be too crazy for this movie. God forbid these people trapped in a hole for days on end struggle in this supposed psychological thriller. The family's reaction to John putting them in the hole is also really weird. When they first find out what has happened, they act sorta mad towards him, but after that they're sort of just like, hey, we're not mad at you anymore, just let us out please. Crying emoji. Occasionally throughout this movie, a couple people this family knows come over and ask John where his parents are, and he's just able to lower their suspicions with half-assed responses every time. The police do come at one point, so John just hides in his room by crouching down, and then the cop just jiggles the doorknob a couple times and walks a lap around the house, and he just leaves. Great job, my dude. John does end up going through an arc in this movie in that he stops bringing his family fast food and one day decides to learn how to make risotto. Get it? Adults like to eat risotto, and then he just brings the risotto to his family with a bottle of wine while wearing a fucking suit jacket. John is an adult now, yay! Eventually he gets tired of quote-unquote being an adult, so he lets a ladder down for his family and then they just come out. Then we see John's family having dinner, with John basically having faced no repercussions for what he did. Based on this side plot briefly mentioned throughout the movie, involving this little girl and her mother, it's implied that the events of the movie are basically just a story being told by the mother, and then that mother tells the girl that she's leaving the house forever and leaves the kid with money to pay the rent. The movie ends with the little girl walking through the forest where John's bunker is, and the movie just cuts to black. So that's basically the extent of John in the Hole. Nothing about this movie was outright offensive, but then again, it was so lacking in substance that it didn't really have any room to actually be bad. This movie is as empty as the hole itself, but nowhere near as deep. My final rating for John in the Hole is 4 out of 10.